Hello, students, guests, and anyone visiting this webpage. What I have for you here today is Visual Studio. Okay. Now, on the website, in one of the announcements, I posted two links. One was Visual Studio, and the other was Visual Studio Code. Both are great to work with. Visual Studio Code might be better for non-compiling, but both of them give you an editor that's a little more slick than just a regular text editor such as Microsoft Word or Notepad. Excuse me, not Microsoft Word, but WordPad or Notepad. Visual Studio is owned by Microsoft as well as Visual Code. And there's other editors out there that you can use. Atom is one. Like I said, there's other editors. You don't have to use this one, but this one I'm going to show to you today. So one thing the Visual Studio does, and Visual Code doesn't do this unless you find a plugin or something. And I don't know where that plugin is, but you can go look it up. But Visual Studio puts these little plus minuses, these tabs that allow you to open and close sections. So for example, here's the beginning of the head and here's the ending of the head. And so what that does for you is it concises the code and points to help you not have to scroll up and down so much. So for example, if I'm not doing any work inside the head, then I can go ahead and close it by clicking on that minus, and it closes. And so see, now that's not taking up as much space, and it allows me to give myself more space, or more real estate as they call it, so I don't have to focus on that. It's no longer distracting. Okay. Same thing if I'm not doing anything with this header right now, I can just close it. Or if I'm not doing anything with the article, I can close that, and such and so forth. And then, of course, if you click on it, notice when you close it turns to a plus sign, and then when you click on it, it opens back up. Right? Pretty simple. You won't get that in your WordPad or your Notepad, but Visual Studio adds that feature in and makes it nice and easy to edit. And then, of course, once you do some work, you can hit the Save button. It'll save your work. And Visual Studio comes with more undos and redos than your typical WordPad or Notepad. I think WordPad, you can only go back maybe once, I think. I think you only get one undo, maybe two. So Visual Studio can record probably up to 20, 25. It can do a lot. Probably have to research how many undos does Visual Studio allow. But nonetheless, it does have more features, like I said, than your typical WordPad or Notepad. And since we're here, let's just go ahead and go through this. So I got this from, let's see if I can flip over. I got this from the companion website, okay? So here's the companion website of your book. Here's the home. Or your home, yeah. So about the book. There's what the book looks like. That's the cover. You're probably reading this book electronically. If you're in my class, you can go purchase it physical if you want to, but it's going to be electronic form. If you click on code examples, there's all the codes for the example. I have the link of this in the announcement, so you can go there, click on it, and find these pages. The best thing for you to do, is to click download all code examples, and it'll download as a zip file, and then you can extract it, and that'll make it a whole lot easier for you than trying to go to each chapter and download each and every example. Okay. And so with the download here on this page, it shows you the name of the examples and then what page is the reference. So you can reference back to the book to see what they're talking about, and you can see the links here as well. All right, so let's go back to Visual Studio. So back to Visual Studio. Going through this a little bit. Okay, so here's the head. Notice you have a head and a header. HTML5 introduced the header. Okay, it was different than the head. So the header is the top portion of the web page. The head never displays on the web page except for this title. So if you were to open this in a normal browser, you would see this right here on the tab. So all web pages have tabs, right? Here's a tab, here's a tab, here's a tab. And notice how the tab has text. And the text, this text originates from what you place in these titles. So in between this title is some text, and that's what's going to show up on the tabs. I said that before, but bears repeating. All right, style sheet. Normally that's referring to a CSS cascading style sheet. Okay, it's referencing that. So if I were to run this, wouldn't work because I haven't set up this directory here, which is common CSS div with more styling.css. So because I haven't set up this directory and I don't have that CSS file in that directory, it would not show all the CSS that's in here. But you can. Right here is your CSS reference. And you can download all the CSS that is needed for these examples. Okay. So next you have the nav. So this is a navigation bar because navigation is so common, right, in web pages. HTML5 went ahead and introduced it as a tag. Because every web page needs some sort of navigation. And so rather than people making their own, which you still can if you want to, HTML introduced it. Okay. Main. And once again, when you have this in your HTML document, it makes it more SEO, search engine organized, search engine optimized, so that web pages, so you can be found on the web. So main obviously is the main portion of the page. Article, that's the main article of the page. And inside here you see IMG. What is IMG? It's an image. So here's going to be an image. Same thing. Going to have to go and find where this image is located, because more than likely I haven't downloaded it yet. All I've downloaded are the web pages. Okay. So H2, so that's the second size descending order of the HTML sizes of they have some built-in quick fonts that you can apply to pages, so H1 through H5. Okay, P, everybody knows what that means. What does P stand for? Paragraph. Yes, okay. So it starts a paragraph. EM, what does EM do? Everybody? Emphasize. So it emphasizes text. So this is supposed to be something important. Okay. UL, okay, everybody, what does UL stand for, all you smart students? UL stands for unordered list. So this is going to be a list, and it's unordered. And what's the other type of list? What's its tag? Yes, OL. And what does it stand for? Ordered list. So what's the difference between an ordered list and an unordered list? Anybody go ahead and guess? Ordered list uses numbers. Unordered list uses symbols. Default is the circle, dark circle squared in, the black circle that's filled in. And then you can look it up for squares or diamonds or open circles, open squares, open diamonds, or you can use pictures or whatever. So there's all kind of fun stuff you can do. So aside, what does that mean, everybody? And oh, there it is right there. It even tells you the aside element represents a section of a page that consists of content that is tangential related to the content. So there's something else that Visual Studio will do for you. When you put your mouse over a tag, it'll tell you what it is. So there's UL. What does it tell us UL? The UL element represents a list of items where the order of the items is not important. That is, where changing the order would not materially change the meaning of the document. So there's something beautiful that Visual Studio does for you. You put your put your mouse over the tag, and it'll give you a definition. Beautiful, isn't it? Okay. So let's keep on. So everybody, what is footer? Anybody? Obviously it goes at the bottom of the page. Said you put your mouse over it, it'll give you a nice formal definition of what a footer is. So this is pretty nice. Like I said, you can open up in Visual Studio. It makes it nice and easy to edit. Okay, let me show you another feature. So let's say if in here I was starting off a paragraph. What Visual Studio does, and it does it for all programming languages that are inside Visual Studio, and there's a lot inside Visual Studio. You can do Python, I believe, and PHP and some other ones. So the cool thing that Visual Studio does, getting back to the point, is let's say if I were to start a paragraph. So that's, computer's kind of slow here. Sorry about that, guys. So if I were to start a new paragraph, okay, there it is, caret P, and when I close it, notice what happens. You still there? Everybody still with me? Watch what happens. There's nothing in this hand, there's nothing in my other hand, and there's nothing up my sleeve. I'm going to close this caret, and it automatically creates for you the closing paragraph tag. I didn't put that up there. There's nothing up my sleeve. Okay, it does that. And let's find another tag that would do. Let's do an H2. So let's say inside this paragraph, I'm going to go ahead and open it up. I'm going to put in an H2 tag. So I'm going to just put in the open caret, the H, the number 2, and I'm going to close it and watch what happens. It's magical, y'all. It's magical. Boop. One keystroke, and it closes. So Visual Studio will close your tags for you. It'll put the closing tag for you. So there's something else that helps you. So as you're typing, you can just go ahead and put in whatever content you want to. Okay. All right, so there's another feature that's really helpful inside of Visual Studio. Down here, these are comments. So what a comment is, it's something that will not be interpreted by the interpreter. So a comment is open caret, exclamation point, 2 dashes, and then Visual Studio just closed it. And then you put all your comments in here. Okay. And that will not show up on the web page, on the web browser when you open this web page. Okay, so I'm in here. So thank you for watching. You've been a wonderful audience. Visual Studio to edit your web pages. Have a wonderful day.